I worked 10 years for that money, and I could have lost it all, but I bet it on this project. I'm risking a third or half my money, and so I ended up making in profit around $1.7 million. This shit's not easy. Hey there, my name is Chris Hacken. If you don't know me, I started a fiber optic internet company called Loop Internet back in 2015. One of the things I wish we did as we were kind of building the company back then was documenting the process of how we did it. People don't get to see how much shit you have to, trudge through to build a company from nothing. And so that's what I wanted to do with my new business called the Mosaic. So the Mosaic is basically a private social wellness club. It's kind of a combination between a gym, a spa, social club, a WeWork. But so it kind of has all the things that are in a spa. So a cold plunge, hot tubs, therapeutic pools. We're gonna have a salt pool. We're going to have, a steam room, dry and wet saunas, a red light therapy room, massage rooms, all that kind of stuff. And then, so the next floor above that will be a restaurant. We're gonna have like a little bar with a pool or like a hot tub around it. And then the floor above that's like a WeWork area, kind of like I mentioned before. So we'll have like a podcast room, conference rooms, private offices, or just like shared office space for everyone to use. Floor above that is going to be like entertainment space. So golf simulators, driving simulators, like movie rooms. I'm hoping to have like arcade games and things like that in there. So this is really built to be a place where you can go there anytime of the day or night. It ought to be a place to hang out, somewhere where you'd kind of like want to live there, you know what I mean? And so there's also a fitness center. We'll have like a yoga studio, classes, and stuff like that. And then finally on the roof, we'll have a rooftop lounge. I want to have like a batting cage up there, a putting green, another small like bar area. And I'm trying to figure out how it's going to work with the weather, but also have like a movie thing up there. So that's kind of the premise of the club. When I launched this, I basically announced it on my Facebook and social media pages. And then I had Bob, who is a writer with the local paper, The Citizen's Voice. He wrote an article that he was able to get on the front page. So that helped create a lot of buzz. And then I also had a friend who runs a Facebook page called The Valley share my story there. And so the idea here was to create so much viral momentum to make this go crazy. So I want, like, when you launch something like this, you really need to like build off of it's viral social media. So you don't want someone to go to the website and see 200 founding members and only like 3 people signed up. So the premise was that you want to see like this counter increasing as you're on the page because people are signing up while you're there. Like you go to the page, let's say there's 50 members reserved, and then you don't sign up, but then you come back an hour later, there's 70 reserved. You're like, holy shit, I got to sign up because there's not a lot of memberships left. And so I'll talk a little bit about the idea behind that whole concept. So I wanted to create some urgency to sign up, and the only way to do that is really to have, there's 2 different things. We had tiered memberships. So the earlier you signed up, the cheaper it was, and the price is guaranteed for life. So the first 50 members, I don't remember the exact price, but let's say it was $230 a month. The normal price is $300 a month. Then the next 50 members, the price goes up by, I don't remember the exact number again, but let's say it's instead of $230 or $240, it's $250. And I go to $275, and the next 50 are $290. And so that's one way to create urgency to get people to sign up. The other one was just having the limited amount of membership spots. So we limited it to 200 members. And so again, the goal there is just I don't want to have it open-ended, because then it seems like people can sign up, they'll be able to sign up forever. Like, why would I want to sign up now when I can just wait 3 months or when it opens and reserve a spot? I had to create some urgency. And the reason for this is I guess there's 2 things here. One is I could have just set up a reservation page that people enter their information, and when we open, we would reach out to them. But I needed to prove the business model, both for my own sanity and for potential investor or bank sanity. So basically, if people are willing to pay for a reservation, it really kind of shows that there's a need for your service that you're providing. And so if you just have people sign up, you don't know if they're going to pay or not when the time comes to actually open. But by requiring people to pay, they care enough to put down $300 without this thing even existing yet. So it really proves the business model. It gives legitimacy to the business. And so my goal here was to use this as leverage for when I went to investors or went to a bank for a construction loan. There's two steps to this. So we sold Loop Internet in October. The deal closed October 1st, 2015. As part of that deal, our equity was supposed to just roll over into the company that bought us. And so let's say in 5 years when they sold to some other company, we would then get cashed out. But I really didn't want my equity sitting in some other thing that I had no control over for that long. I put my life into Loop Internet. I just wanted my money and to move on to something else. So 2 pieces to this. When we sold, I completely misunderstood the valuation of my shares. And that's, I guess, majority my fault. But I thought my equity was going to be worth between $3 and $4 million. And it wasn't worth anywhere near that. So my equity ended up being worth $2.2 million. And so throughout this whole process, I was assuming my equity was going to be worth $3 or $4 million. So before we had even sold, I made an agreement to buy the building for this, the Mosaic project. And I agreed to buy this building for $1.84 million. He had it listed for $2.1 million. I agreed to pay cash, and I agreed to close within 45 days. So when I went to sell my equity and it wasn't worth anywhere near what I thought it was, I was like, oh shit, I'm in trouble. I later then found out that I had to discount my equity even further to get cashed out. So it was worth 2.2. In order to buy it from me, our investors wanted to discount it even further. So I had to discount it another 30%. So my 2.2 that I thought was 4 or 3 is now worth 1.7, which is roughly, less than half of what I thought it was. So obviously you can see the disconnect here. I agreed to buy a building for 1.84 in cash. I only have $1.7 million. And I owed money to my parents. I had some loans out, credit cards, all this stuff. So my 1.7 ended up only being 1.4. And on top of that, that's 1.4 without having paid taxes on it yet. So I'm doing some, I forget what it's called. It's some federal program where if you reinvest money, it gets you can get your taxes deferred for X amount of years. So I'm trying to do that right now. Kind of back to the premise here. I have $1.4 million. I agreed to buy this building for 1.84 in cash. And I have 3 weeks to come up with this money. And so I was trying to get a bank loan to fund this whole project, but that would have taken way too long. A bank loan typically takes 3 to 4 months sometimes to get, sometimes even longer. They want all these things approved ahead of time, like zoning. They want the construction plans. They want construction bids, and this is all to reduce the risk. They don't want to hand a check to someone and then have them basically not be able to complete the project. And so I understand that, but so I had to figure out a way to come up with roughly let's say $500,000-$600,000 in 3 weeks. And so I reached out to my Loop Internet investors. Neither of them were interested. So I was like, well, shit. I can't get a bank loan. It doesn't seem like I can get investors to pay for this. I'm going to have to tell everyone I'm going to get their money back and I look like a jackass. And so when I agree to do something, I try to put in every effort to make that thing come true and keep my word. And honestly, I really that's my reputation on the line. I don't want to look like a jackass. So I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to do this thing, I might as well go all out. I'm either going to fail and, lose money or lose my reputation failing, or I can commit myself to do whatever it is, anything that's feasibly possible to try to make this happen and get it done. And so what I ended up doing is I put $400,000 into a trading account, and I started day trading options. And so the first day I was trading, I lost 10 grand. The second day I started trading, I lost 30 grand. The day after that, I think I lost another 30 grand or 40 grand. And so, now I'm probably down $60,000 to $70,000, and I'm like, shit, I am not going to be able to do this. But then the fourth day, I ended up making $100,000. The fifth day, I ended up making another $100,000. And so I kind of realized, I'm like, holy shit, I might actually be able to do this. Basically, when you're making these trades, it's not easy to make 100% on a trade. So sometimes I was putting up, $300,000 or $400,000 on a trade and making 100 grand on it, and doing that, sometimes 2 times a day. So I'm risking, a third or half my money at some point to be able to make the money for this building that I want to buy. And by the 6th or 7th day or 8th day of trading, or I don't know, I'd have to go look at the trading records, but eventually, I I had like $400,000 into a trade, and the stock just jumped at some point in the day, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm actually doing it. And then it hit my target price. I sold, and I was like, I'm yelling. I'm like, I did it. I did it. And so I had made the $500,000 or $600,000 that I needed. And then after I settled down a little bit, I'm like, oh shit, you know what? I have the 1.84 or 1.9 or however much money I had, but I'm like, I'm going to be broke after I pay this. I'm like, I'm not going to have money for my taxes. I'm not going to have money to live on. I'm not going to have money to finish. I'm trying to fix my house right now. And so I'm like, I need to make more money. So the next day I kept trading. I made another $100,000. The day after that, I made another $150,000 or $200,000. And so I ended up making in profit around $1.7 million. And then today, I'm done trading now, but today I cut myself off. I lost like $200,000 in that. So now I'm down to like 1.45. But long story short is I made enough money to buy this building and then have some cash to live off of and continue to invest in my life and whatever, and pay my taxes. I just think a lot of people don't know or aren't willing to sacrifice. I worked 10 years for that money. And I could have lost it all, but I bet it on this project, committed to seeing it through. And I just, people aren't willing to do that. And I did the same thing with Loop. I was at one point with Loop Internet, I think I was like $500,000 in personal debt. And people don't see that when they're looking in from the outside. They think every business owner is some rich snob douchebag that's taking advantage of them. But this shit's not easy. And, I like using Elon Musk as a reference. Like, when Elon was building SpaceX, he had invested, I don't know the exact number, let's say like $50 million into building this company. All of his rockets kept exploding. He couldn't get them into orbit. He's like, here's my last $10 million or $5 million, whatever it was. He's like, this is our last shot. He's like, if this doesn't work out, I'm broke and the company's dead. And so that rocket was successful and they made it to orbit, and that's kind of the origin story of SpaceX. But there's so many countless stories of people taking giant leaps of faith to build something great. I wanted to tell that story as I'm building the Mosaic to kind of give people an insight into how these things are built, and just kind of the mental that's involved sometimes. And so that's my story. I'm going to continue to kind of make videos about our construction, how the progress is going and stuff like that. But, I'm closing on the building next week. And right after we close, I'm going to start replacing windows, get the building, kind of situated until we can get the final construction plans. But, thanks for listening. And if you signed up for the Mosaic, I sincerely appreciate it. I can't wait to bring this to life, both for you and for me. So thank you. And I'll see you later.